Mr. Tim Saletti. Tim is from the Citizens for Trump organization. Tim, welcome to Conduit News Radio.
Good morning. How are you, Paul?
I am doing well, Tim. So I wanted to have you on. I'm going to set the stage here. So for the last 5 days, the UCA College Republicans put out a Twitter poll. And it's essentially, hey, who do you support? You support Asa or you support Jan Morgan? Who do you support? And Jan was leading this poll the entire time until 2 a.m. yesterday. And I want to say, before we talk to you, I talked to Mr. Will Teeter, the head of the College Republicans at UCA, and he said that he's not sure what happened. He said that he went to bed at midnight and Asa had a 60-40, or I'm sorry, Jan had a 60-40 lead. He woke up at 5 a.m. and it had reversed, and now Asa was in the lead. But Tim, you actually witnessed this. You were up during those wee hours of the morning. What did you witness?
I witnessed a miracle. I witnessed 1,700 people get out of bed in the dead of night at about 1 to 2 in the morning and consistently vote specifically for Asa. They didn't comment. They didn't retweet. They didn't like it. They just voted and apparently went back to bed.
1,700 people? How do you know? I mean, it was 1,700.
Roughly, this is a rough estimate based off of the voting that was there prior, and of course, it increased more than that. But in a short period of time, in just a couple of hours, there were that many votes, and again, not a single comment, a single share, or a retweet, or like. So this is pretty suspicious. It's not normal. I'm on Twitter on the midnight shift, and I can tell you, if there's 1,700 people coming to vote anywhere, it'd be a miracle.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're exactly right. And so, and there's no way for us to see the analytics that, I mean, unless of course we had access to the UCA College Republican Twitter account. I mean, I'm sure we'd have some analytics there. But you were watching this. Was this in the? I mean, was this in like how short of a span was this? You say it happened around 2 a.m., but how long did it last?
I'd say it started to trickle around midnight. And then between 1 and 3 a.m., it just started hitting quick. Matter of fact, there was a time when I think there was 100, maybe even 300 vote differential in just a matter of, I want to say, 15, 20 minutes.
Wow. So,
I mean, it was that quick.
Yeah, so even that is suspicious. I mean, 300 votes in 15 minutes, and they're all for Asa.
All for Asa.
Wow.
Not a single vote the other way.
So what can you tell us about bots? What do you know about Twitter bots? Have you done any research on this as a result of what you witnessed? It's just very weird anomaly here.
Well, again, there's sites out there that will absolutely take your money in favor of, sending you a whole bunch of bots to vote for you in polls. I mean, I'm not going to name any websites specifically, but they're out there. And I imagine somebody, I'm not, accusing anyone, whether it be the UCA or anyone else, but somebody did it. And I'm sure it wasn't a fan of Jan.
Yeah, I mean, so you're convinced. Like, I mean,
I'm convinced.
You're in the
There's no
tech
two
world.
ways about it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I'm absolutely convinced that somebody went ahead and purchased a couple of thousand votes on one of these websites, and they decided to, start doing it late at night where they thought maybe they could get away with nobody noticing it, which, of course, is even more awkward because in the middle of the night, there is nobody to vote.
Yeah, so how many followers, roundabouts, does the UCA College Republican Twitter handle have?
I think it was in the maybe 100 or two last I looked. Maybe not even that high, but it was a very small amount, which is, again, if you look at the retweets and the likes on that particular account or that particular poll, they're pretty minimal for having that much action. If you look at the average poll that gets 3,000 votes, it usually has way more comments, way more shares and retweets, and especially if you're going to get in 3 hours at any given point, an influx of 15 to 1,700 votes, you're always going to have people sharing it, retweeting it, and definitely commenting on it. If you look at the poll thread, you can barely find a single complimentary comment towards Asa. So why wouldn't, out of 2,000 votes or plus to Asa, why wouldn't anybody leave a positive comment on that particular poll for him? It's a miracle. It really is.
Yeah, so I see Citizens for Trump tweets this, I guess, 3:38 a.m. On the 29th of January. We'd really like to know how Jan Morgan was winning by 63% earlier this evening and has been winning by double digits since the poll started. Then miraculously, over 1,000 votes came through for Asa Hutchinson during Twitter's deadest time. Crazy coincidence? We think not. So you're exactly right. Now there's Asa Hutchinson defenders that have been, arguing with you, calling you a conspiracy theorist.
He happened to get me on one fact. The only fact, the check mark. He said, well, that doesn't mean she's winning, and he's right. It meant that's who we voted for. But other than that one thing, and he tried to stick on that one fact. And I asked several times over and over, what about all the other facts, including, dead of night, this many votes, no retweets, no likes. And, of course, they wouldn't address that at all.
Mm-hmm. No retweets, no likes. We're expected to...
No comment.
Yeah, we're expected to believe... Go back up to the poll, Joe. Scroll back up to the poll real quick. Because, all right, the final results, okay, like I said, Jan was winning by 63%. Asa allegedly ends up... the poll shows he wins 56%, 44%. And the timing of this was this had been going for 5 days, and basically by 5 a.m., the poll was going to be over in 8 hours. And so there was a total vote count of 3,344 votes, and you're saying roughly 1,700 of those came in the dead of the night, and they all voted for Asa, and they did nothing else. They didn't participate, they didn't retweet, they didn't like, they didn't comment. They just voted and left. So the question is, can you tell me what a bot is? Is a bot an actual human being, or is it a computer program? Or, because I guarantee you every single one of the votes that voted for Jan Morgan are actual, Arkansans. Well, maybe they're outside, but they're actual human beings that actually tweet and, have their own individual personalities and thought. What can you tell us? What is a bot exactly?
Well, a bot, again, is, there's tons of different types of bot programs out there. And you can hook them into several nefarious Twitter accounts. And, with a couple of clicks, you can start a process that has all those accounts vote for you. So, a particular bot program has all the nefarious accounts go ahead and vote for you. Now, again, they can even use a single account, and they can switch out IPs. Remember, Twitter records votes by IP. They do it by account, too, but they also do it by IP. So, there's a lot of ways, I imagine. And this is a problem with Twitter more than anything, that they allow this type of voting to take place. It really makes you wonder whether Twitter's polls have any value at all at that point. If they can be influenced by a botnet or somebody with a simple small program, can we actually count them as valid?
Wow. All right, so...
Same thing on Facebook, by the way. Facebook, Twitter, anywhere that there's polling in these social media platforms, there's a hacker who's found a way to get around that polling, and give you a skewed result. So it's a tough call, really.
So I know you're part of Citizens for Trump, okay? And so tell us a little bit about that organization. I have a follow-up question, but tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Citizens for Trump.
Sure. We started Citizens for Trump probably about 2 weeks after then-candidate Trump announced he was running for president. And at that point, we had begun to form an online social network and an on the ground network of people to help fill in the gaps that we found early on in the campaign and all the way even up until the president was the nominee. So we did a lot of that volunteer work. We hosted several big events. We hosted the only pro-Trump event in Cleveland, Ohio, which Jan did attend and speak at. And we actually had to sue the city of Cleveland to have that event. They tried to make sure us and any other pro-Trump group could not do that. So we did win that lawsuit, and the lawsuit had to do with they were trying to set up a martial law zone about 3 miles wide from the convention center, and which was, going to set a precedent for a political event. And we ended up, actually, the funny part is through the UCLA, we ended up suing them and winning probably after about 8 weeks of battling them locally. And they, of course, we ended up getting a constitutional judge who sided with us and decided to let us have that event. But that's where we started. And we've been going strong ever since. We've got several hundred volunteers in a couple of key swing states who are helping out many different candidates and, helping them with their game free of charge. Nobody at Citizens for Trump, including Jan, when she was our spokesman, gets paid. It's an all-volunteer network. And now we're about, I'd say we're about 3,000 strong on the ground in several different states. Right?
So my follow-up question is, Donald Trump, when he was running, specifically after he got the nomination, I mean, we had all these polls that showed that Hillary Clinton was going to win handedly. Handedly, for our listening audience, that word rings in my ear right now because of other stories. But he was going to win handedly, and so I guess the question, or she was going to win. What does this say about an establishment incumbent governor whose campaign Asa probably has no idea what he barely probably tweets himself. What does this say when he is when they are so desperate that they're willing to just take an innocent college Republican poll on Twitter and essentially destroy it? And that's what they did. They essentially sabotaged what was not going to look good for Asa.
Well, and that was kind of my thought too, Paul, is, did they really think that they were going to have this happen to the poll and nobody was going to say anything and Asa would just win? Or did they intentionally sabotage the poll, thinking that, okay, let them find out it was sabotage so we could, invalidate the poll completely? So I really don't know what the whole thought behind doing it was. I mean, it's really plain as the nose on our face that somebody skewed this poll with a botnet. But, again, was it intentional to do that so they could invalidate the poll altogether? Well, we'll find out when I ask them to put the poll up again.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so, that's a good point. UCA College Republicans, they should just put up another poll. I mean, the president told...
If they agree that it was skewed, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And, I know that I talked to the president yesterday of College Republicans, and he said something weird went on, because when he went to bed at midnight, Jan had that 63% lead, and he wakes up at 5 a.m., and essentially the poll had flipped. And that is a very odd time for, a lot of Asa Hutchinson supporters to get up out of bed and vote. That doesn't make any sense. So,
well, if it's weird to him, he should have no problem agreeing that, one, either they should relaunch it and try to get a result that is true, or two, maybe they should do what we're going to do and challenge Twitter to shore up its security system to, possibly develop an algorithm that detects these bots and shuts them down from voting on polls or things like that. I mean, this is a programming problem for Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. It's a programming problem. We just got to make sure they don't know it'll help conservatives if they fix it.
Right.
Because then they're never going to do anything about it.
They'll never fix it.
Tim Saletti, I appreciate. Thanks for being up with me this early, sir. Tim Saletti from Citizens for Trump. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, Paul. I appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good day.
Okay. You too. Folks, we got to take a break. Don't go anywhere. Back in just a moment.